he just got monetized in August. In August, he got 3,300. And then in September, he's already at, well, not already, it's the 30th right now, but he's at 16K after August, only having 3K. So last time we talked, it was like last 28 days, you were at like 4K or something like that. And now just 2 weeks later, you're at 16. All right, I'm back with Chris. This is the second time he's been on the channel. Obviously, we just did the interview a couple weeks ago, but he said some pretty crazy numbers recently on his channel. So I wanted to bring him back to discuss the big jump in revenue, provide you guys some insights as to how he got there, and hopefully help you get there as well. So I'm going to bring up his YouTube studio real quick, and I'll have him explain the big jump in revenue and what's happened over the past couple weeks since we last talked. But it's a little too zoomed out, isn't it? Let's see if I can zoom in. So there you can obviously see the revenue that he has been hitting recently. He just got monetized in August. In August, he got 3,300. And then in September, he's already at, well, not already, it's the 30th right now, but he's at 16K after August, only having 3K. So last time we talked, it was like last 28 days, you were at like 4K or something like that. And now just 2 weeks later, you're at 16. And let me give these people a refresh of the studio, so you know we're not faking the numbers, because there's a lot of skeptics. There you go. Now we're back. So yeah, Chris, go ahead and take it away. Explain the big jump.
Yeah. So September, and so yeah, we've got still one more day to show. And I'm, what did I tell you? It was 19.3 something. If you go to the last 90 days, it'll show the total.
Yeah. 19.3.
Yeah. So this is what, $650 away from, or so, from 20,000. So might hit that with one more day left. I'm not sure. And then the subscribers were almost at 20,000. And I think it was a week ago, or a little over a week ago, that you messaged me on Instagram and you said, congratulations on 10,000 subscribers. So yeah. I had another 10,000 since then, but I just kind of leaned into what was working. I mean, I just kept, sort of going back to the same topics over and over again, like you've talked about. And, I didn't really change. Once stuff really started to work, I didn't really change all that much. And I've had in the last 3 weeks, I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 videos go over 600,000.
Dude, I don't know if people understand how crazy these numbers are. Like, I had similar numbers on Justin Reloaded when it was smaller. We have, other channels that are we can talk about it later, but like that also upgraded into the program that you upgraded into, who are getting kind of similar things where the revenue is outpacing the subscriber count. I don't know if people understand how crazy that is. Like, your revenue is about to be higher than your subscriber count. And it's not like you have like 1,000 subscribers and 1,001 revenue. Like, you're about to have $20,000 in revenue and 20,000 subscribers. That's insane.
And somebody commented, I don't know if it's somebody that also had a YouTube channel, but somebody commented on one of my videos. They're like, you have more views than subscribers.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I didn't know if they thought that was a bad thing or a good thing or what, but
yeah.
But yeah, so, and it's, we talk about mindset a lot, and, it wasn't that long ago that I was thinking, wow, you look at these other channels and you're like, oh man, if I could get 100,000 views on a video, because I was kind of early on, I was having some go like 5,000 or so. And then I kind of dropped off a little bit, and I was thinking, it was like, oh, if I could get back to where I'm doing 5,000, and then I had a 10,000, and it's like, oh, and you keep setting these new baselines for yourself. But it's funny how the mind shift change can happen pretty fast, because, I was looking at these other channels and it's just like, oh, to have a video do 500,000, and then I had 3 in a really short period. And I had like, I think maybe the best day that I did one do like 650,000, and then the one right after it was like 250,000. So that was and I had one video, my best video did over $3,500 for one video that took me 45 minutes at the most to do.
Jeez, so, getting paid over $30,000 an hour.
Yeah.
It's so
So that's
crazy when you put it like that too. Like you think about the actual time you put into these channels and then the amount of money that comes out when you actually do the math, like it's ridiculous.
it's
Like I did the
wild.
math one time and it was like I'm like legit getting paid like over $2,000 an hour for the time that I put in. And it's actually that's like a really good calculation to actually make. Like once you start making real money from YouTube or from anything, is because then you can really evaluate like how much is my time worth and like how much am I costing myself by doing other things and saying yes to people who want my time and stuff like that. Like, and if you're somebody like me who does like any kind of consulting or anything, you're like, this is how much I charge because this is how much my time is worth. Like I genuinely just I make this much in an hour. So why would I give my time away for something that's not going to make me that much in an hour, you know?
And I don't want to say to people that this is not work. I mean, I feel like I've worked hard, at this to get, but it's also not, this isn't digging ditches or something. You know what I mean? It's not like this, I was working 80 hours a week on YouTube to get to this, I mean, and you've talked a lot about how, you can have a video, maybe, and especially like sort of early on, being really precious about making sure that everything's right with your video and all that.
Yeah.
And I've had ones where I don't remember the one that made $3,500 if it was this situation or not. But sometimes I'm doing these at like 6 or 7 in the morning, and there have been times where I just wake up in the middle of the night and I'm wide awake and I'll record a video at like 3 a.m. or something like that. And there have been times where I'd think, that video wasn't that great, and then it kind of pops off.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, so this is definitely a kind of a work smarter, not work harder kind of a thing. It's not, like I say, I don't want to tell people that this is not work, because it is.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at, just people work a job 40, 50, 60 hours a week and they make, $40,000 a year, and this is $20,000, in less than 2 months.
Yeah. It's sick, bro. And your channel is just starting. Like you have 19,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
You're a fresh channel. Like there's channels that have 100,000 subscribers that don't make that much in a month.
And I don't want to repeat myself if I said the same thing on the previous call, because I don't really remember.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I'll see like pretty big channels that channels that have 1 million subscribers or more, and they're getting like 5, 10, 20,000 views on their videos. And I've almost kind of thought, like, could you contact some of these channels and just be like, I could get your views way up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your thumbnail is bad and your title is bad,
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, a lot of them have big egos, and they're not like, that's a huge part of this. And that's something that I had to learn too the hard way, is like, sometimes you got to just swallow your pride and your ego and realize like you need help. And once you're able to do that, the world is yours. Like literally, once you're able to, because especially like men, dude, like men have like a ton of pride and a ton of ego, especially when it comes to learning from someone younger than them. Like they don't want to learn from me. I'm 25. A lot of times the people who I talk to are like 40, 50 years old. They don't want to learn from me. They're like, oh no, this kid, he can't have it more figured out than me. But it's like, dude, it's just this one area. Like I'm sure I could learn a ton from, like I can learn a ton from Chris. I can learn a ton from everybody else in the program. It's just specifically YouTube, I know more than them. Like it just happens to be that way,
Now, I haven't had that problem. I mean, I just, once we hooked up on this, I basically was just like, you know what you're doing, so I'm just gonna do what you tell me to do, But yeah.
Well, I want to talk about also, and this isn't an advertisement, okay, but Chris ascended into a higher tier program where he's getting everything done for him, basically, other than actually recording the videos and choosing the topics and stuff like that. But by the way, that's full. Like nobody else can join that. So this isn't an advertisement. It's capped. Like we're at capacity now until we hire more people to help. But right now, there's nobody else that can join that because we have to keep the team as like completely A players. Like we won't accept any B players or C players. Like you have to be A players to join. But Chris ascended into that. But you're a little apprehensive. You're a little bit, a little scared, I would say, to do that, to make that investment. what was the mindset shift that made you able to do that? Because I think that's a big one that people have to make as well. And that I knew it's always hard. It's hard for me every single time I purchase a new coaching program, but I know that's always where things like it's always good to not let money have power over you. And there's different ways you can do that. You can invest in education and a coach. You can donate to charity. You can buy nice things. I personally like donating to charity and purchasing education the most. But any way that you can just let your subconscious mind know that money does not have power over me, especially once you start making money. Because once you start seeing that number in your bank account go up, you don't want to see it go back down. And then you start to have that scarcity mindset of like, I can't spend money on anything and try to level up even more because then my imaginary number in my bank account will go down. It's like you have to always be in attack mode. So talk a little bit how you made that switch from being like a little bit scarcity to getting back into attack mode.
The big thing was, so I have a day job that I work 40 hours a week, and I'm going to continue to do that. I don't know for how long. I don't really want to get into it, but it's kind of complicated. Yeah. I can't just say I quit.
Right. Yeah, he's a special agent, by the way.
I'm a special agent. Yeah, doing YouTube on the side. But you know, it was I was doing everything on my own. So, you know, I was finding the topics, I was recording the videos and editing them and doing the thumbnail and the description and the title. So I was doing everything myself. And I would occasionally ask you like, hey, what do you think of this? You know, but I wasn't asking you really a lot of questions about that. I was just doing everything. And I was definitely missing, you know, there were days where I would miss, and you pointed that out to me when we're, you know, and you kind of, without going through and actually looking at each day, you kind of think like, oh, I uploaded a video that day. And then you're like, oh no, I didn't, you know?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the big thing is I'm, you know, I'm going to continue to work for a while. I don't know how long. And just, you know, being able to have, you guys take care of. So all I do is just record. And, you know, it takes me 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing, you know, is just recording a couple of videos each day. And, you know, so we have Casey that's sending me the topics. And then I just say, I want this topic. I want, you know, this one's good. And then Kyle edits and does the thumbnail. And does he do the title and description too?
No, me and Casey do that.
Oh, you and Casey do that. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's taken a lot of, and so I went out of town Saturday night. So I was gone like Saturday afternoon until Sunday evening. And so I just recorded a couple extra videos before I left. And, you know, if I had done that the way I was doing everything before, I don't know if I would have gotten the extra videos made. You know, I probably just would have had a day there that I wouldn't have posted. So it takes a big weight off my shoulders to just to not have to do all that work. And I have another channel that I want to start doing videos for as well. So I might, you know, on that one, just do the same process that I've been doing and build that one up.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk more about like the mindset behind making the investment though, because that's, you know, I just love the mindset behind it. I know we had like a little discussion. I was basically like, you mentioned retirement, and I was basically like, dude, fuck retirement. Like, why do you want to retire? You know, yeah. I'd rather build a life that I don't want to retire from rather than start to save for retirement and stuff like that. So like, what was the shift? Like, why did you decide to go back into attack mode instead of like, you know, just starting to like hoard the money? Because that is it's a slippery slope. Once you start to hoard the money, you start to make less. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of it was just me being, you know, I used the word precious earlier. Some of it being precious, just kind of, because this thing has kind of been like, you know, my own baby basically.
Right.
I'm doing all of it, you know, so that's a little bit, you know, a little bit tough to relinquish that. But I mean, you convinced me that you know, because the big thing, like I said, was the time was just, I don't really have time to work on more than one channel. And, you know, you convinced me that I need to be having some, you know, even you said, even if it's not us, if it's somebody else doing the, all the work, that you need to be outsourcing some of this so you can build up beyond just what you're making with this one, because the thing about it is you think like, well, if I made 20,000 with one channel, a second, if I do another 20 with another channel, it's 40,000. So that was kind of the big thing, was just seeing how I could really scale this up, because, there's only so much. I'm sort of at capacity right now as far as how much work I can do, until I eventually am just doing nothing but this and not working my day job, which eventually is going to happen. I just don't know when.
Yeah. The way I view it is like, whenever you're at the point that you were at before you joined that, you ascended into the done for you stuff, you're kind of like a glorified employee still. Like, obviously you're the only person doing the stuff, so it's your business, but you're like a glorified freelancer basically. And then once you hire employees, or you invest into an agency, whatever, you become more of a business owner at that point, and you free up your time. And like I said, if you're making, this only happened one time, but let's just say that your hour is worth $1,000. Well, that makes the investment well worth it. Like, if you're able to make $1,000 in every hour that you're working, now you go start a new channel, and every single hour you make another $1,000. With your freed up time. So it's just, it takes a special kind of person to be able to make that jump. And I've never seen it not be worth it for somebody, like, ever.
Well, and when, so it's just been 4 or 5 days, something like that, since I started this. So, we only have 6 or 8 videos, since I started with you guys. But, that first day I kind of held my breath a little bit. And I was like, okay, let's see, things were really, the week before we started this, I did $7,500 that week.
Yeah.
And so I kind of held my breath. And that first day we had a video that's at like 250,000. And then the next day we had a video that's at 250,000. And I messaged you and I said, okay, let's just do this every day. I'll take 250,000 a day,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I just got like one more question, maybe two. We'll see. Do you have any insights that you learned since like making the 3K to 16K in a month jump? Like, since the last time we talked, you're at like 3, 4K, whatever. Anything that you learned, or is it kind of just doing more of the same thing?
As far as the like the nuts and bolts of doing it, or just mindset?
Anything. Yeah, just anything. Any insights that you could give?
We talked, right before we got on here, that, things have, I've had a kind of a rough couple of years, and I've definitely been holding on to money really tightly. And I told you that I don't, I'm not like buying a lot of stuff for myself for fun. So tonight, right before we got on this call, I went out and bought a PS5, which is the first gaming system I bought in a long, long time. And it was just like, okay, I can spend, I bought it and I bought a game. So it was $600. And, I wouldn't, the last couple of years, I just never would have done that. But just from a nuts and bolts standpoint, I guess, I really, just in the last month, really started, things really started to click, where I was like, okay, I'm getting to where I really understand what works and what doesn't, as far as what videos that my audience wants to see. And now I'm also seeing, how you guys are doing thumbnails and titles and descriptions and all that. I've seen your channel and what you're doing on it, but you now doing the thumbnails and the titles and descriptions on my channel, and I'm saying, okay, like a little bit different thinking than what. So I feel like that's going to just level up even more, where I'm learning more and more and more about this. And like you said, it's still, it's not even, we're like 6 days or something like that, until it will be 60 days of being monetized. So
that's so crazy, man.
And it's funny, you said to me, I said this to you the other day, but when we did our initial onboarding call, you said, if you do what I tell you to do, in 6 months, you can make $10,000 a month. And, I was like, it wasn't like I didn't believe you, but it's just like, I honestly was thinking, in 6 months, if I can, make enough money that maybe would be like a car payment or my mortgage or something like that each month.
Yeah.
I didn't really think I was going to hit, it was like, it'd be nice if I hit 10,000, but maybe in a year or something like that. And now like we're here and it's kind of crazy. I mean,
You blew past it,
I
man. You
blew
blew
past
past
it,
10K.
but
You skipped that milestone.
I skipped that milestone, but yeah. So, but you know what I mean? It's like when I come from, my parents are retired teachers. So, and they've always been very supportive of me, but just I had friends who had money, but I also had, it was a very like middle class upbringing of lots and lots of people making like $50,000 a year. And it's like, oh, you make 50, it's nice. You make $50,000 a year and you've got a retirement and, you go to the beach in the summer and all that kind of stuff. But not a lot of people other than, friends who are doctors or whatever, who are making, $15,000-$20,000 in a month.
Yeah.
So it's still a little bit like, am I dreaming? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um,
That's
so yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I know how you feel with the upbringing thing. I was the same way, middle class, but growing up in South Louisiana, there's like a common saying where the only way to make doctor money is in work boots around here.
Okay.
So like working the plants or whatever. And
Yep.
that's where everybody goes. And everybody who goes into those jobs, like they're praised and they're like, oh, you're doing great, great, great job, great work. And it's like, yeah, it is great work. Like we need those people obviously for society to operate, but it's harder to break out. And like whenever you feel like you need to do something more, it's so hard, man. And every single time when I was working jobs, like I did a fire extinguisher technician job or whatever, it's just so miserable. Like it's whenever you feel like you should be doing way more and then you're stuck in one of those jobs that's just like meaningless to you.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so painful, bro. It's the worst feeling ever. And then also whenever you said that like you're kind of getting over that scarcity mindset and willing to spend money on fun stuff and invest in yourself and stuff like that now. There's something I don't you might not be super, religious or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. The Bible says, and I'm gonna butcher it obviously, but there's a quote in the Bible and it says something like the world of the stingy shrinks, the world of the generous grows, gets larger.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I always implore people to like not just invest in yourself, but just donate to charity too. Like it's good for like your mindset, but it's also good for your soul. Like it just feels good. You feel good.
There are so many, and I know they're the same, but there are so many dog rescue places that I follow on Instagram that, and now I'm going to, that's kind of what I want to give money to. But I was talking to a friend over the weekend and I haven't, nobody know, my parents know that I'm doing this. And one friend who I've known since I was 5, I talked to about this, but I was talking to another friend who is working on a doctorate. And they said, when I get this doctorate, I hope that there are some jobs that I could maybe get that would pay $90,000 a year. And, it's going to take them a year to do the doctorate and however many, they're doing it online, but however many, I don't know what like 20 grand or something like that, it's going to cost them to, and they're like, I maybe will be able, like right now they're making like 60,000 and they're like, I might make 90,000 if I can get this job, with my doctorate. So
yeah, it's insane, man. People are so brainwashed now. Like I literally posted a YouTube video today talking about this. Like, and I mentioned in there, I just wish kids were not pushed so much to go towards college, and just like at least consider like online mentorships, like for whatever field you want to go into. It's so much cheaper and it's so much more effective, and you make money so much quicker.
Well, and the thing, and also, yeah, I totally agree with you, but also so you live in Louisiana, I live in West Virginia, and it's the same kind of thing. The good jobs here there's a DuPont plant, and that's like the big job that everybody wants to work there. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I never had any interest in that. Or,
Yeah.
you can be like a nurse, or there's a government agency here, the Bureau of the Public Debt, that like everybody wants, and it's like a secret society to try to get in there. Like I applied there many times over the years. But, the thing to me that is so great about this is I can live, I have so many people like friend of mine lives in Columbus, Ohio, and he's miserable. He hates it. It's expensive. He lives in a $600,000 townhouse, and he hears like gunshots all the time, in his neighborhood and stuff. And he's like kind of scared and wants to move, but it's so expensive. And I mean, he has a good income, but so many of my friends have moved away, and I have that same friend is like, I wish I could move back home, but I can't make a living. And it's, the way I look at it, it's like, I can be where I live and it's cheap and my family is here and stuff. And then I can just travel, when I want, I can go to, I have, I love to go to New York City. I have zero interest in living there.
Yeah.
So I can go to New York City for a few days, or I could go to LA, or I could go to, wherever, and sort of get, that taste of living in a bigger place, and then go back home to my acre of land, and cows across the road from me,
Yeah. And keep making videos as you travel. And you don't really miss out.
I did that. I mean, we probably talked about that in the last video. I took a laptop to the beach, and every morning I woke up and, looked out of the beach while I made videos.
Yeah. That's so sick, man.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts you would like to give the people? Or we'll just wrap it up here if not.
I would just say, if, like I say, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are thinking exactly the same way as I was a couple of months ago, thinking, oh, I would like to do that, but how would I ever, you talk about friends of yours, right? Who are like, oh, I wish I could have a YouTube channel, but it's too hard or whatever. And, you talk about this all the time, that the people making money with this are not geniuses, right? And there's, it's not, this isn't like coding or something. There's not a ton of, skills, difficult skills that you have to learn. You just have to be able to talk, or, I'm not even showing my face in my videos. So I think for people, if you're on the other side of this and you're like, I think it would be too hard, it's not.
Yeah. I saw a quote from somebody the other day, and it was something like, and it's so true, man. I've been saying this for so long on all of our group calls and stuff. The craziest part about getting around rich people, ultra rich people, is realizing that they're literally no smarter than you. Like they are normal people.
I mean, and often, you'll see somebody who's really, really rich, and you just be like, how did they make this money? They don't seem that smart,
Yeah. Well, not to get too in depth in that conversation, but a ton of it has to do with the vehicle that they're in. And right now, I think YouTube is like the best vehicle. I think it's like literally the gold rush right now with YouTube. Like it's so easy to start from scratch too.
And that's great. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, real quick. We just had somebody join the program who has like almost 1 million subscribers. And he's like, man, it's just like, it feels like YouTube kind of reversed, where back in the day, it was like the rich get richer. You can only grow if you're a large channel. And nowadays it seems like it's just so much easier to grow a brand new channel than it is even for him to get views on a 1 million subscriber channel. And like, he's getting really good views, but like, he's not like, you might be making the same amount as him and you have 20,000 subscribers and he has 900,000, Well, it's just the gold rush, man.
And the thing about it that's great is you don't have to have a bunch of money. If you're going to have an e-commerce business or something like that, you have to have some money to be able to spend on ads and, on products and all that kind of stuff. And with YouTube, you need a microphone and you need a decent camera, or, I'm just using like I say, I'm not recording my face, but I'm just doing screen capture. So it's not like you have, where you have to go in and it's like, oh, I have to, have thousands of dollars to spend on ads or thousands of dollars to spend on inventory or whatever. So it's a real low barrier of entry for people, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I wasted a lot of money on doing drop shipping and stuff like that in the past.
Yeah. I got lucky. I didn't waste much money into other mentorships or anything, because I kind of was just like locked in on YouTube doing it myself. And now that I have money, I have wasted some money. I'm not gonna lie, on some mentorships, but every one of them you get something out of. Like even when you waste your money, like you still will learn something, unless they're an actual scammer and they're just like,
Right.
oh, thanks for your money, and I'm leaving. But
Yeah,
you'll get something out of them still. But yeah, I got lucky and I didn't waste too much money on other business models.
that's good. And this isn't my first YouTube channel. I had a few channels before this, and even got a couple of channels monetized. And was one, I had a partner that I was working with, and one I was just doing on my own. And we would, we got monetized, but we'd make $1.34 on a video or whatever,
Yeah.
and now I know tons of mistakes that I did, but it really took, I figured out some of it on my own. I was able to get monetized on my own and all that, but I didn't really figure out how to get many views until I started working with you.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Let's start wrapping it up. But
Okay.
what's your next goal? Like, what do you want to do next?
I don't know if we talked about that before, like what my next goal should be. I mean, I don't necessarily have a number in mind. I just want to keep this rolling and increase some, and then eventually my goal is going to be to quit working, but that's a little bit in the future.
I would say the main goal right now should just be stay in attack mode as much as possible. Like it's so easy whenever you hit big numbers like this to say like, oh, I'm good now, like I'm chilling, because you could probably not work for a few months and be fine, and that's like it's a peaceful feeling.
That's
But
one area where I think you and I, like, we're a little bit the opposite, because you talk about like you're really motivated by sort of defeat or somebody not
yeah,
telling you can't do something, and I'm a little bit like that, but I'm motivated by, like, if this had just been months and months of like, you got 100 views, or whatever, you know, I would have gotten down, but I'd have a 10,000 view video, and that would motivate me to be like, oh, I got to get a 20,000 view video, and then and then it was like, oh, if I could get to 100,000. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to rest on my laurels. It's just like, how much money can I make, and
yeah,
what kind of views I can get. So I'm super motivated by this. I'm definitely not in the, because I've had lean years, so it's like I want to make as much money as I can.
yeah.
So
Let's make the next goal the YouTube plaque then, the 100K plaque, and
yeah,
then whenever you get that.
I didn't know I actually just looked at that the other day, because I didn't know what it was for the YouTube plaque, but I was like, oh yeah, that'd be a cool thing to have.
Yeah, and
Because
then
that's
whenever you
one
get
of,
that, we could do another interview whenever you get the 100K plaque.
that'd be, yeah, we should do that. That would be awesome, because that's one of those things where even people that don't know anything about YouTube, they see people's, just hang it up back here, and they see people's plaque, and it's just like, oh, that's a big deal. So
Yeah,
yeah, I was just thinking about that over the weekend.
cool, man. Exciting times. But we'll cut it off here. I
Okay.
appreciate you, Chris, for coming on again. You definitely dropped a lot of value. I'm sure the people in the comments will show their appreciation as well. If you guys want to check out Chris's channel, it'll be linked. If you want me to link it, I don't know if you want me to link it, but it might be linked or it might not. You can see what
I
it is
mean,
on the
they
screen.
can see the name.
Yeah, okay. They can see what it is anyway. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Chris, for coming. Hopefully, I'll see you again soon whenever you get that 100K plaque on the channel again. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. See y'all in the next one.